Welcome to What We Watch When We Drink, a BoozeDancing Entertainment Network podcast featuring lively discussions about movies, TV shows, and anything else that we're watching while we drink our favorite boozy beverages. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, Audible, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can also find us on BoozeDancing.com, and if you have any questions, comments, show or drink suggestions, email us at boozdancing@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Hello, we are live. Nice, Angelo. We are live. It is What We Watch When We Drink, the live podcast, and we have a very special guest tonight. We're going to get to him just shortly. You can grab a seat, spend your Tuesday evening with us. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can pop any kind of comments you want in the little comment section on all those places. And I want to remind everyone about BoozeDancing.com. Mike and Angelo are reviewing things all the time at the murder table there. So hop on over to all our socials to check out what they are reviewing, what they're drinking, or whatever. What appliance they're actually testing out this week. And we are AAA rated. We actually are ARP rated and AAA rated, I believe.
Andre,
this podcast.
Aaron, Andre, and Angelo.
There's a lot of A's going on here. A lot of A's going on.
That's right.
So Angelo brought up the name Andre. We are welcoming back a very special guest, a friend of the podcast, with another return appearance. World traveler, music lover, cocktail book writer. He's got a new book out now that we're going to talk about tonight, Booze and Vinyl Country. Perfect for the gift-giving season. Let's welcome our old friend, André Darlington in. Hey, Andre. How are you?
Thanks for having me on.
He's a rootin' tootin'.
Yeah, you need your jump pistols.
Making kind of guy.
He is rootin' tootin'. He really is rootin' tootin'.
Rootin'
How are we, Andre?
Good, man. How are you doing? It's so great to be back on here. It's been, I guess, a year. We do this every year. It's the kickoff of the season.
When was the last book?
Sure feels like it.
Was it Vinyl Christmas?
It was, the last book would have been
Or
Forbidden Cocktails for TCM.
That's right.
Before that, there was a cowboy book. We might have done a doubleheader last year. I don't know. It got confusing.
How many?
This time, it all worked. The publicists all worked. Everything worked.
How many books have you written?
This is book 13.
Lucky 13.
It would. You know, I'm not a superstitious person. Other than I always think it's going to be my last book, and I actually pitched to do a Hitchcock book for my 13th because I thought that would be cool. Somebody else grabbed it first, but I spent last year before last, when before I started working on this, watching all of the Hitchcocks, making drinks for it, thinking number 13, it's got to be something murderous and Halloween. But here we are at Halloween as cowboys.
Good point.
There you go.
You could have just said, you could have skipped the 13 and just said, this is book 14, and just because like elevators, little floors.
Like hotels do, right? Just go straight to 14. 13 is the bad luck book.
That's right. That's right. Well, before we jump into learning about the book, why don't we all make cocktails from the book? I don't know if you did, Andre, but the three of us did. And why don't we do that? Do a little toast, and then we'll hop into all of the fun stuff. How's that?
And we'll do the reveal after we get them all ready to go.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Drink them first.
Yeah.
Once you
Andre, did you make a drink?
Then you're ready to go.
I did make a drink. I can kick it off. I made Sweet Daddy for Hank Williams. All these books, I really just try to honor the material and get out of the way and give people inspire people to make drinks along with these incredible albums. This Hank Williams, Hank Williams is the OG of country after the Carter family. And I hemmed and hawed, what do you do for Hank? And I think that it's hard to find a drink that's more classic than bourbon, sweet tea, and ginger beer together. I mean, those are sort of that's the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost of Southern drinks, right? Yep. I don't know which is which.
What's the carrot celery onion thing called?
Right, the mirepoix
that's it. Yeah,
something like that, or there's a Spanish word for it too. But yeah, so the Sweet Daddy it was a lemon wedge. So really easy for people to put together. Not put together that often. People drink. I grew up drinking bourbon and ginger beer, a real classic at bars. I feel like service industry people love. We all drank basically Buffalo Trace and ginger beer early on. That was kind of a bar close. It's refreshing. The ginger beer helps settle your stomach if you eat and all the things. And then adding sweet tea to it just gives it that little oomph. And if you measure it out right, and that really depends on the sweet tea and the ginger beer you're using, you can taste all three things. And it's really something special. Like so many great 3-ingredient cocktails. If you do it just right, you kind of dial in there and you're like, I do taste a little of each. The sweetness of the sweet tea brings out the ginger beer. Anyway, fun drink. Hank
Excellent.
Williams.
Mike, what did you make?
I made out of the John Prine section.
The
Donald and Lydia.
Awesome.
So it's 2 ounces of dark rum, 3 ounces of apple juice, and a lemon wedge for garnish.
Nice. Yes.
And I actually had doubled it up, and I finished about half of it already. So I find it to be a pretty good cocktail.
As one does. Yeah, there's nothing like bourbon and apple together. There's a lot of
dark rum and apple. Dark rum.
Rum and apple.
Yeah.
And what'd you get?
I am in the Merle Haggard and the Strangers Mama Tried section.
Nice.
The Two-Legged Wolf.
Oh, yes.
That's a good one, too.
So this one is 2 ounces of bourbon whiskey, 1 ounce of Amaro. I used the Verna. 3 ounces of whole milk, 1 dash of Angostura bitters, and some freshly grated nutmeg.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I couldn't find the damn nutmeg thing, so I had to use, the shaker. So that's okay.
That's all right.
It's good quality nutmeg. So
we're entering nutmeg season.
I
figured this would be dessert and a cocktail. So
good call.
I'm not sure if I did this because I'm wearing the hat or because it's World Series time, Dodger time. I actually chose Linda Ronstadt, Heart Like a Wheel, one of the famous renditions of the national anthem in baseball history. I chose the Dallas Alice. White rum, mezcal, Cointreau, lime juice, and an orange peel.
Nice.
And it just smells lovely. And I love Linda Ronstadt.
I love Linda Ronstadt too. I think people forget that the Eagles backed her. People these days don't really remember how big she was. I think the female country singers all talk about her as being this big influence on them.
Yes. Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you go listen to Linda Ronstadt, and you're like, "Oh wow!" And she sounds so great on vinyl. Heart Like a Wheel is just incredible on vinyl, and it's incredible anyway. But incredible album on vinyl. Linda Ronstadt is really fun. That's had a big connection. I've been on a book tour for the last few weeks, and people are like, "Oh, Linda Ronstadt." There's a few albums that, of course, the Dolly, of course. The Willie, of course, but then Linda Ronstadt's been one that people really talk about, and also awesome Joanne Cash, who really kind of helped change country music in her way and came out from under her father's shadow to have a hit. A child, what pop star child has done that? It's very rare.
Rare. Yeah. Well, cheers, everyone. Andre, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, you guys. It's always fun.
Always.
Ooh, this is tasty.
Always invited.
This is tasty.
A delight.
This is fascinating. This is fascinating.
Where do we start? I mean, we have this
Mine's
conversation.
like a breakfast drink. I might have this tomorrow with my cereal. I'm just having a little apple juice, honey.
How many apple juice? It's basically an adult juice box.
Put this in a box.
Rarely do I make a drink the way it's supposed to be made. Like I followed the directions, and I did, and it actually worked. I didn't. I had no idea that's what happens. I didn't know.
Sometimes
I thought you could just wing it and then make something out of that. I had no idea.
One question.
Very
With
good.
This one, I bet you can do like a smoothie. Throw some cereal in there. And
For
some
sure.
ice.
for sure.
Make it like a smoothie kind of thing?
Yeah, that's sort of harkening back to an older type of drinks. I like drinks with cream in them if they're done right. Especially coming up into the holidays, it gives the palate something to do, a little bit richer, a little bit thicker, and yeah, those drinks just work, and they do taste like adult milkshakes, right? And some of the early cocktails were basically early milkshakes, like a sack posset, where they would take eggs and boil it with the loggerhead from the fire to give it this like blended thing. They were making all kinds of shakes, or Alto Bros, which is a Scottish oatmeal whiskey drink.
What?
Not even really a cocktail, but yeah, it's basically like oats, and you soak them and use the water with whiskey and honey and milk. I think, if I think right.
Wow. That's breakfast.
Drinks
I'll drink my apple juice and I have my oatmeal.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the greatest day ever.
Some of these old drinks go back to when we were just trying to get caloric intake, and it was cold in the castle, and you needed to warm up. You needed some calories. So you basically eat alcoholic cereal with honey and oats and apples and all this stuff. Not that cream drink's doing that, but there's some drinks like that.
And the water wasn't safe to drink, so you had to have alcohol anyway.
Exactly. Water is bad for you. That was
want to drink the alcohol.
Up until the 20th century, water was bad for you.
You don't get dysentery from a beer. That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
You don't. So, Andre, number 13. Which number is this in the Booze and Vinyl? Is this 4? 5?
Yeah, this is 4. So there's Booze and Vinyl 1, 2. Then we did a Christmas, and then Christmas kind of led us to maybe we should do single subject, and country came up.
It's kind of cool.
Country's been in the works or in thought for a while, and it was partly by popular demand. People, when I was on tour for the other books, would say, "Have you thought about doing a country book?" Yeah, it depends on the market and the publisher and what we want to do. And then somehow we settled on this country idea, and I love it because country, it has these ebbs and flows in American culture. We all remember when country's sort of on the outs, and then it somebody will come along and bring it back. So many of the stories in this book are artists that helped bring it back. Joanne Cash reinfused it. Dwight Yoakam reinfused it. Randy Travis reinfused it. It goes on and on. Shania Twain reinfused it with these different kind of strains of country up until our own time. Beyonce reinfused it. Taylor Swift reinfused it. So country is constantly going through these shifts. I didn't time this with any kind of marketing in mind at all because it's too hard with books. It's been years in production, but we're having a good country year. The last article I read about country music consumption was that over half of all Americans listen to country music once a month, which is a lot.
Wow.
That's a big
crazy
number to me. Yeah. And they listen to it in places that you wouldn't expect them to listen to. I think everybody thinks there's a country belt. But the United States, that is sort of like 80s thinking, It is really metastasized through the whole country. And in fact, the number one consumer of
like it's spread like a cancer.
Yeah, it's spread like a cancer. You see, the number one consumer of country music is New York City, and not Nashville, not Dallas.
Wow.
So where country is interesting, I think, in people's minds, where they think it is, and who they think listens to it, and then who actually listens to it.
So where were you? So where were you on the 50%?
What'd you say?
Where are you on the 50%? Were you a listener or not a listener?
Oh, yeah. I listen to country. I've been a huge country fan for a very long time. I was a bass player in my misspent youth, classical, jazz, and Americana bands where we thought we were the next coming of Graham Parsons for a number of years. I feel like when my generation, we were all doing the Graham Parsons thing. I mean, this is like Wilco era, right? Wilco really, Uncle Tupelo, Wilco come out, and that kind of indie rock meets country roots rock thing that I feel like just kind of American music sounds like now. I mean, I think without that kind of moment for 20 years, you don't get a band like War on Drugs. They're just a phenomenal. I think we think of this as like Americana now, but I think people forget that there was a time where that was not the case. John Prine was on the edge. Certain people listened to Haggard. It's always funny. It's almost like cocktails where people don't remember that 25 years ago people didn't drink them and there were no menus, or this just wasn't a thing. You walked in, you ordered a Rusty Nail because Grandpa drank a Rusty Nail, and you're like, oh, it's so terrible. And now you walk in and there's all the things on the shelf. I always tell people I drink Blanton's Old Fashions, and when I ordered a Blanton's Old Fashioned, the bartender would be like, yeah, I think we have a bottle of that back here. And dust off this like dusty orb and be like, only you and the really old guys drink this. People forget, like even 25 years ago, not drinking brown spirits. Well, maybe it's 30 now. But there was this period where people weren't listening to this classic country in the way that we are now. I always tell people, when I was growing up, Johnny Cash was somebody from the 70s. Before he came back and was an MTV hit, and he got made into this like uber hipster on jukeboxes, and he covered 9 Inch Nails. Right. Before that, there was that Johnny Cash could have just as easily drifted away with the country stars of the past. And so we're in this brave new world where people remember that. Dolly is still around. The last time I was in New York City, because she puts out an album every 6 months, we'll be in New York City, and Dolly will be in Times Square. That's different than it was, I think, we all know 25 years ago. And somebody like Beyonce being interested in coming into the genre, somebody like Taylor Swift coming to the genre. Anyway, the genre keeps changing. We have some huge stars now. From Morgan Wallen, who's contentious, but obviously has an incredible songwriting team behind him, to somebody like Billy Strings, who I love, who's sort of the second coming of Bill Monroe. Down in North Carolina here, he sells out amphitheaters 3 or 4 nights, like he's the Grateful Dead. So there's fun stuff happening. Not to ramble on too long, but
I just looked as of 2022. Dolly Parton has had 64 albums made in 50 years.
Yeah, so that's almost 2 a year, right? I'm not far off.
Crazy.
It's 8 months.
Yeah. And most of that's the last 2 years.
Probably.
It was so funny when I did Booze and Vinyl Christmas. I said, well, I've got to have a Dolly Christmas album in here. And of course, growing up, the famous one is her with Kenny Rogers and the Sweaters. Yep. But she's had 16 since.
Yeah.
Christmas albums.
Prolific.
Yeah, so prolific.
That's crazy.
And she has some real highlights. One of the albums that I really wanted to do, it's a toss-up. Obviously, I did Jolene for this book because that's the album. Yep. But Little Sparrows, when, I think it was in the late 90s, early 2000s, she did Little Sparrow, where she really delved back into the past. So these artists come around and they're doing all kinds of fun stuff that the market's telling them to do. And then every once in a while, they'll make an album that's like a landmark for them, for themselves, because they're deciding to sing all of the old tunes. So that's fun.
So when you were thinking about the book and the concept finally got nailed down, are you thinking music first and then cocktails, or cocktails, then music?
A little bit of both. I always have things I want to fit in. And I've had this weird jag where, starting with the John Wayne book, I sort of headed into country western theme and flavors. So I'm thinking of that book. And then I did the cowboy book, where I even deepened that, went down to San Antonio, learned all about the cowboy aesthetic and things. Not that overlaps with country completely, but it helps to know. Mm-hmm. Certainly for, the Southwestern sound and the Bakersfield sound and all that, I got a much bigger picture of what the flavors have been like. But it always starts with the music, I would say, ultimately. And people ask, is this one easier or harder because it's country? And ultimately, the answer is so much harder. Even though the other Booze and Vinyls are all genres, it almost is such a light brush that you're like, well, we know that Prince is going to be in. And
hit the big ones.
Yeah, we know some of the big ones, and then there are some aesthetic choices as far as what vinyl heads like or what are good with cocktails. But this one was country's more contentious as a genre, I think, maybe than any other genre other than hip hop. It's very contentious. And there's also just so many different strains of it. And there's so many angles you could take on the book. And I really, I'm limiting down to basically a little more than 60 albums. And I've got to tell the story. I always want these books. I want to do a good enough job that if we shot the book into space, an alien would say, that's what country music is.
I get it.
I kind of get it. You missed a few. But you got the big ones, So somewhere an alien on an asteroid is listening to country music. I want to make sure that they know what we're doing, and also,
but do they know what Campari is? I'm just wondering.
Boy, Mike.
They're like,
I get the music, but what is this?
If aliens come to our planet, they're going to be looking for, I think, bourbon and tequila. I mean, they're going to be like, I've heard a lot about this.
Hey, I got a question for you. Because you wrote the other two books, and they're all cocktail centric. Did those two help with building the cocktails for this book? Like, was there any crossover? Or
yeah, always crossover. Always a notebook that carries forward ideas that didn't maybe fit in the other books too. Where I try to, a number of years down the line. For example. I had this obsession with muddled cucumber and whiskey, which works.
I saw that in there.
If you think about how juleps work, where it's sort of antithetical to everything you think about bourbon, but then you put mint on it and it just like pops. Or if you think about some of the famous drinks that have, let's say, squash or pumpkin with bourbon that work. So the muddled cucumber became this little obsession. And then I had another obsession with cream white chocolate liqueur with lime juice, which shouldn't be weird because chocolate and citrus, everything, what grows together goes together. But Americans tend to not do that much chocolate in cocktails to begin with.
Right.
And also not mixing it with like a lime juice and just kind of playing it against each other. That drink in here is really great as well. So I have a couple of ideas that I'm trying to fit in, but mainly it's just getting better and better and better at knowing what the audience wants and knowing sweetness and dryness and knowing these combinations and actually being able to write a hit drink. Basically, I have a friend that flies down and we workshop the drinks, and every book, it seems like we have more. Like, yeah, that could go on a restaurant menu, which I want that to be the bare minimum. It goes on a restaurant menu. This is a good cocktail. But more of them are like, yeah, it would go on and it would sell really well. And it could get press, like journalists could be like, oh, this is cool. This is interesting. This is delicious. This brings people into the bar. And I feel like the longer I go, hopefully, the more of those I write, and they're a perfect cocktail are the canon cocktails, and why they work is that they're so ridiculously simple and there's infinite variations on them. But who would have thunk that, gin, sweet vermouth, Campari turns into this thing? It's only 3 ingredients. And then you add orange, you can add burnt orange, or you can play around with your bitters. But basically you're going to have a Negroni. And so I'm always looking for those drinks that are like really simple. A lot of that real estate's taken, frankly, right? These are the classics. People played with this for 100 years or more, and they know what the 3 ingredients are. But every once in a while you stumble on something that you're like, yeah, this is really great. Like, for instance, the drink that I'm drinking, sweet tea, ginger beer, and bourbon. Not really a named drink. Those are the 3 holy trinities of what you would get in a bar in the South, and it's like, well, let's put it together, and I'm just calling it sweet daddy for Hank Williams, but things like that where you're like, this is a thing we can get here, so yeah, the answer is always starts with the music, and then kind of just I'm doing a pairing match or coming up with stuff.
So
I like the one you did for Hank Jr. Hellbound.
Yes.
Yeah, the same thing. You're going to have a lager. You're
Yep.
going to have bourbon.
Yep.
What if we put them together? Well, that's easy. What if we throw some juice in there? And
Yeah.
then it turns into a whole different thing. And while I didn't make it, that was one of the ones that I almost made. I was like, oh, let me mark this page. I might make this.
He's going to get me to make it because
yeah, exactly. I always tell people, buy the book for the person that you want to make the drinks for you. It's the perfect holiday gift.
Yeah, the gift that keeps on giving for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Giving back.
Yeah. When I'm at bookstores and people are coming up, I'm like, buy it for your friends, and then they'll invite you over and make
drinks.
The return on investment.
People always ask me, "What's your favorite drink?" And I'm like, "My favorite drink is the one that's been made for me."
Well, act of effort.
I mean, not always, but
right.
Yeah, the Hellbound. Well, you caught me on that. There's some albums that I just love, right?
Yep.
And so it's always funny writing these books where I have albums that it's a double-edged sword. The albums that I've loved for years, I feel like there's a higher bar in a way for me to really write a great drink with, but also sometimes it's just a lot easier, you know. Yeah. Because I've been listening to it forever, and Hank Williams Jr. That's such a fun, rousing album, and it just kind of writes itself. Some of these,
and you get senior and junior in the same book. And
I know
if you're writing about country music, that's not too bad.
Exactly.
Are you listening to the music when you're creating these cocktails?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I'm listening a lot. This was one of the deeper projects. So my wife went really nuts on Booze and Vinyl Christmas because she doesn't love Christmas music. Because when she was younger, she worked retail, you know, and so she was like, for 3 or 4 years while she was in college, she was just like, I can't listen anymore.
No more Mariah Carey.
I've heard the same 10 Mariah Carey songs. Kill me now.
No more Polanka.
Exactly. A huge fan of country music, but you know, country music takes you into a certain place. If you listen to a lot of it a long time, you know, this book definitely moved me and pushed me in different directions than I try to become like a character actor where I just listen to country music the whole damn time because I'm sorting it in my head. I'm trying to figure out what albums I really want in there. You know, these artists, I'm going through all of their albums. I just do that. That's how I do it. It's my process. I read biographies if I can. I look at, you know, I'm watching the Ken Burns documentary. I'm reading all the country music books I can, and I'm going into these people, and it gets to be a lot. and then I sort of leave it. I sort of write what I think I want to do and put it off to one side. And then as I'm working on it, listen to it again. You know, and like listen to it and make sure that that's where I'm at. And it's actually kind of a fun way to do it because like any project, you put it down for a second and then bring it back up and you're like, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do. So it helps click. It just helps the creative process so much more. So, you know, we'll be in the kitchen making drinks and it's like, yeah, let's just put it on, you know?
It's like the Daniel Day-Lewis of cocktail books.
Yes, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta be inspired.
Yeah.
Reminder, this is What We Watch When We Drink on the BoozeDancing Entertainment Network. This is a live podcast, and this will be out as a regular downloadable podcast in about a week or so. We are with André Darlington, author, friend, cocktail maker, and country music listener. He has this new book out, Booze and Vinyl Country, one of a series that he's been doing with music and cocktails and pairing them together and coming up with would you say 60 albums? So there's like 120 cocktails?
There's 120 cocktails in this. There's 61 albums in this one. Yeah, these books are beasts. I think, you know, normally when you go to the store and you pick up a cocktail book, there's 40 cocktails in there. 40 to 60 cocktails is sort of the average pitch. So these books are just these monsters and they take twice as long, 3 times as long to do. But it's a labor of love and the market, you know, has enjoyed them. So out they go. And I think that it would be hard to do a book with less albums. And my thing, it's always funny. Like I make basically less money the bigger the book is, you know. But I'm always like, no, let's do more. Let's do more, you know.
More pages, more pages.
Yeah, more albums, more albums. This is what the people want. So
the thing would be the Booze and Vinyl pamphlet. Is that what you're going for? Like,
yeah,
pages,
if I could have 12
pages.
drinks and 24 pages and make the same amount of money.
Perfect.
We're at a grand a cocktail. At least. And so these books are these labors of love, and you can see it in the pages. You know, the graphic designer too is doing
amazing.
The Philly folks again?
Beautiful.
It's just a chonky book.
The Philly folks again, or somewhere else?
Philly folks again. Yeah. So flew up to Philadelphia. This is a fun one for people to know. You know, I feel like the book world is shrinking, but cookbooks and cocktail books are not necessarily shrinking. People still want to feel them. People still want to get offline. Part of the thing I've been talking about on this tour is this. I think the hit of this book isn't just that I'm pairing music and drinks, but I'm pairing analog vinyl with it. And we're sort of in this analog revolution. So people are into typewriters. People are into flip phones. Another stat that is out there is that more than 60% of Americans wish we could go to a time before AI and flip phones and, you know, before we are where we're at right now. So I think this book has been caught up in a lot of get offline, hang out with your friends, listen to full albums from, you know, back to front, make drinks for yourself, enjoy your time. But one of the fun things about this book, along with that, is I fly up to Philly and, you know, I join a room full of creative people for a week and they bring these books to life. So the photography in here is really cool. It's a different team. I mean, the background graphic designers and whatnot are still running Press Hachette, and then a different stylist and different photographer, although the same photographer as my last book, Forbidden Cocktails, and then a wonderful stylist, and then a really great book designer. And they came up with a wonderful, you know, one of my most exciting moments of the entire process, because I don't have to do anything, is this photo shoot where I kind of go up and participate. And then I just get to see what they make. And then they send the book in the mail and I see it kind of like everybody else sees it. Like, oh my God, look how cool it is. It's like an old 45.
It's got pages and it's weighty. Yes.
Yeah. It's a magical thing. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, writing the script to a movie and then getting to watch it. It is a cool thing with these books because I'm trying to tell the story of country music and they kind of get that and they tell the story visually with each photo. The depth that they put in to tell a story in the photo is pretty incredible. So lots of layers of creativity.
We're gonna add one more layer here. We're gonna add another cocktail. I think everyone knows the second one, right? Who wants to tell us about their next cocktail?
I got a mix, so I'm gonna go mute and you guys can talk.
Okay.
Right, so I saw in here you are a big fan of introducing Southern Comfort. I nearly went with the Judds, Your Kentucky Girl, bourbon whiskey, Southern Comfort, lemon juice, and club soda.
Yeah.
But instead, I opted for something well out of my wheelhouse. It involves many ingredients instead of just one.
Yes.
I was going to go with the Morgan Wallen U-Proof, which was just a shot, but I didn't. I went with the torn flannel shirt in the Carrie Underwood section.
Yeah, torn flannel shirt. Jeffrey Morgenthaler has a flannel shirt. I decided to do a torn flannel shirt. Country.
So I got 1 ounce of Milo Green, their Provisions bourbon, 3/4 of an ounce of Southern Comfort, a half ounce of the cinnamon whiskey. I used the Catoctin Creek's Hot Honey.
Yeah. Oh, good idea.
Nice.
1.5 ounces apple cider, 1/4 of an ounce of fresh lemon juice, 2 dashes Angostura bitters, and a lemon peel.
Mike, did you have help?
I did it all by myself. I'm such a big boy. I'm such a big boy. I even put
done.
I just want to tell people, if they make maybe one Halloween or fall cocktail for a party, that might be the drink.
It's a good one.
So universally enjoyed.
So I had my tasting panel try these, and they smelled this one, and they're like, "What does this smell like?" And I said, "I think it's supposed to smell like a torn flannel shirt." That's kind of what it smells like. Nice. They were not fans. Apparently, the octane's a little too much for them. They really like the Florida Cana 7-year-old and the apple juice, but they weren't such fans of this.
Nice.
What'd you get, Andre? Do you have a second one?
I don't have a second
You
one.
don't? Okay.
Still
Yes, what'd you
enjoying
get?
Hank Williams.
All right, so I went to the Everywhere Tim McGraw section,
Oh, nice.
and I went with taillights.
Yes.
2 ounces of bourbon whiskey, 1 ounce of amaretto, bar spoon of cherry juice, 1 dash of Angostura bitters, and 2 cocktail cherries.
Ooh, that's a good
Elegant, very elegant.
one. Very elegant. Very nice.
The cherries represent the taillights of the car.
Ah,
Yeah.
Smart.
How
Where
is
is it? I didn't get to it yet. Hold on a second.
Cheers.
I just did my little pour. So
I chose these my cocktails based on the singer.
that's delicious.
On the what?
I love Linda Ronstadt.
Okay.
And I chose my second cocktail with Patsy Cline in thought, and I chose the old San Antone.
Nice.
2 ounces of tequila, half ounce of Campari, half ounce of Cointreau, half ounce of vermouth, and an orange peel. So
Nice.
yeah, it looks
beautiful.
pretty as hell.
Ooh, that's
for
very
sure.
pretty.
You're
Look at you.
You're having
Nice
a Cointreau
glass.
drink.
Yeah.
That may be the 2 Cointreau drinks in the book. Well, there's a couple, but yeah. That's
Yeah,
good.
I had no idea. I didn't know I had no idea we had Cointreau in the house, but
Nice glass, Aaron. Very nice glass.
So before we cut away, I made a third one.
what?
Oh,
What
nice.
now?
I was going crazy today. So
Yes.
I made
Going.
Gone.
All right, so I'm still in Crazy Town. So I went to the Jason Isbell section of the book. And
Yes.
I made a Heart on the Run.
Oh, so great.
So this is 2 ounces of
Great album.
bitters, bar spoon of the cherry juice,
Yep.
2 dashes of cherry bitters, and our friends at McMahon and Tate just sent us Bing cherry bitters.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I was able to get a brand new, fresh open Bing cherry bitters,
Very nice.
and then 4 delicious cherries. Because
Because
if you're gonna have one cherry,
heart.
if you're gonna have one cherry,
There's
you
no
might
point.
as well have 4.
One is no point. It's worthless.
I find when you get a drink with a cherry in it, when you order the second one, you say, "Give me 2 cherries," and keep adding a
Right.
cherry each
Yes.
time, so I
There
know
you
how many drinks I've had.
So,
But when the glass
It's a
is
counter.
just cherries, you should just leave.
Very nice.
Mike's
Delicious.
cherry
Oh,
theory.
well-
You heard it here tonight.
Delicious.
Cheers again, gentlemen. This is
Cheers.
These
Cheers.
are great. This is and pretty.
These are
Very
delicious.
pretty.
Those are fun choices.
This is very good. You know, I've really grown to love amaretto.
Yeah.
My mom loved it.
So amaretto is another one that I love to use like Southern Comfort. It's great in judicial amounts,
Yeah.
right? And it's like
Mhm.
you don't want to suck it down.
No.
But it's really funny when
But you
fall
could.
hit, I had a pumpkin spice latte. Don't judge. I had one. I was
Oh, I'm
Different
judging.
strokes.
I know.
Different strokes.
We're not judging.
I was like, just give me the squirt. Just squirt it into the coffee. So, and then later that evening, because I'd already gone down Hell's Road with pumpkin spice, I decided I was going to make amaretto whiskey sour. So the trick is it's an
Ooh.
amaretto sour, but you basically split base it with something whiskey, and so it's just a little bit of amaretto in there. Mind-blowingly good because it's just a whiskey sour.
How can it be bad?
With that bit of amaretto in there, which just I think for a certain generation of us just takes us back, right?
Oh,
Sure.
that sounds
Um,
good.
Their parents, that's
Yeah.
what they drink.
Well,
yeah.
now that you say that, this drink could totally make it sour. Just put a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of, and just mix it up with the cherry juice in there. Oh my God.
So delicious. Yeah. So I do the same thing with SoCo a lot in this book because I'm like, listen, folks, you don't need to make a simple syrup, necessarily. One of the fun hits from there's been mix-alongs online from the book and this fun stuff. And bless them, people have picked up on this Motel Mule that I did for Steve Earle. And this is a true story of how I travel or have traveled in the past. I would never do this now. No, I'm kidding. Where you travel and you travel with a can of canned peaches.
Ooh.
And you use the canned peach juice as your simple syrup on the road.
Ooh.
So you can make cocktails as you travel through motels. And it was kind of cute because the Steve Earle is all about, he's got the song about the Hotel Tan and, smoking cigarettes in the hotels and whatnot. And I thought, I'm going to use this canned peaches thing that I have maybe done. I would never do that.
You heard about it from somebody.
I heard it from somebody. But it's been fun because people have picked up on that in the book. And it's all about using unexpected things as your simple syrup. One, you're lazy. Two, it adds this great flavor. So you can get a peach flavor in any bourbon drink in seconds by going to a grocery store and getting yourself some peach, basically peach simple syrup.
And you get your vitamins.
Syrup,
you get your vitamins and all.
You get your vitamins.
Yeah.
Only if you eat the peaches, not if you drink the simple syrup.
Eat the peaches.
Yes. Why wouldn't you garnish it with a peach? Throw a peach in the bottom of the glass.
You know, when you're in the hotel and you're sitting in your underwear and you've got cottage cheese, hot sauce, and peaches, that's what you've got.
That's all you need.
Not a true story? Is that what you're saying?
It's a Wim Wenders movie somebody made.
Not a true story?
I do not recall ever being in that situation. Maybe I have been and I blacked it out. I don't know.
Well, you've made 3 drinks tonight, so it could be tonight.
That's true.
How else did you get all those Marriott points there, Mike? Come on.
We've talked
Marriott's
about
a little too nice, guys.
Wow, Mike is a classy guy.
If it doesn't open straight out into the parking lot and there aren't dogs, I don't know.
the no-tell motel.
Hey, they have a courtyard.
That's true.
They do.
It's not just Marriott. There's
No.
other properties.
And the residents in. They're the
You know,
same way.
where there's a courtyard, there's peaches and howling to the moon, right? So
I don't doubt it.
When we've talked about cocktail making, and I definitely land on old fashions a lot.
Yeah.
I love the basic recipe because you can do so much with it, right? You just keep switching things out.
Yeah.
And the sugar part of it is so easily switched to, like you're saying, a SoCo, amaretto, whatever, that anything that's got a pretty high sugar content or has a very sweet flavor to it, you really just create a whole new drink.
Yeah.
So different, so much different or elevated, maybe not elevated, but different than your standard old fashioned.
Yeah, I think that people don't realize how fun having very few bottles on the shelf is. You know, because I travel with this book and I keep saying, you know, I really curate how many bottles you need. You can go nuts. You know, people have bourbon collections. They have all the collections of all things. But I'm like, basically with 7 bottles, 12 bottles, you are good. Because of exactly that reason, you can start playing Mr. Potato Head and swapping things in. Yeah. And in a mood. And you think of how many nights you're having a cocktail. I mean, maybe even every night. You're still not going to get there. If you have 32 different things to choose from, you have, you know, 180 nights or whatever it is that you can, you know, you can do different varieties of things. And I always like, you know, people do tend to have exploratory moments when they're trying new cocktails. And then they have their definite like goes-tos. As you were saying, old fashions are a go-to for you. In my house this time of year, I'm back on Manhattans and martinis. I've sort of gone away from the rums and the tequilas of summer. I go back to them pretty quickly. But you know, at this moment, I do a lot of Manhattans and martinis. And you don't need a lot of supplies. You know, you don't need a lot. Because you can do a 50-50 martini. You can play with the vermouths. You can, you know, go with I love having a cocktail onion in it one night and a cherry in it the next. Or orange peel, I guess, for martini. But for Manhattans, you know, you can
maybe half a cling peach. You know, whatever's laying around.
Exactly. You have a can peach. Yeah,
depends on the hotel you're in. Maybe just a cling peach.
Exactly, something from the minibar. You know,
that's right. When the COVID, you know, we were all at home, we were all making cocktails, and that sort of created this like in-home cocktail culture, which maybe is fading away a little bit because of people not drinking as much anymore. But in your travels, do you see people still feeling like it's fun to make cocktails?
I do. And I think that it's always, I always like to say it's always like 0 o'clock in America. No matter how long we talk about cocktails, which in my experience has been, you know, 25 years now writing about cocktails, I go out just on this tour and I'll ask the crowd, when do you stir and when do you shake a cocktail? And very few cities can tell me. And that's fine. It's not an intelligence quiz or anything, but it is a cocktail competency quiz, you know. And I think in cocktail world, we think that Americans know these things, And they just don't. And that's okay. What's exciting for me always being at hour 0 when I'm on tour is I'm like, oh, this is kind of awesome though, right? Because right tonight, I'm talking to you in a bookstore or a cafe or a cocktail bar, and you're picking up my book, and you can go home tonight and you are going to make a drink as good as you would get at a bar and blow your own mind. And that is fun to me because so few Americans have actually shaken a cocktail or stirred a cocktail for themselves. I think a lot of Americans have shaken a cocktail for themselves because everybody's gone to TJ Maxx and bought the 3-part shaker and freezes up on you the moment that you have friends over. You're like, I just
I can't open it.
Ah! Well, we've all had that. We've all
spill it all over the table.
So few people have a cocktail beaker or glass to stir a Manhattan or a martini in. So I do find that, whatever's happening in the media is always so on a certain surface that those of us that have access and are looking at it constantly and have our iPhones, and then you go across America and, the last time somebody saw somebody make a cocktail online was like 5, 6, 10 years ago. And it's just a different world out. It's just a different world that I run into these bookstores. But I actually really love that because I feel like I've done Cocktail 101 now for 10 years. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because it is awesome. I feel like so many people are pretentious about things. And, they're convinced of a certain small group of subset of people that have been making these things forever, and they're jaded about it, and it's already boring, and they've moved on to, microdosing mushrooms, which is also great. Far be it from me to judge anybody else's drugs habits. God knows I did them all. But, it's like they're overdoing this, and I'm like, no, there's people that have just never made themselves a martini, right? And we like those people. We want those people in the fold. Those people come in. It's babies. It's just like the Crosley turntables, they're $100. They're not great. They're not great for your vinyl, but God damn it, they bring millions of people into the vinyl.
It's bigger. Yep.
Gateway.
Yeah.
Gateway.
Yep. And so, so I do feel like people are still excited about cocktails because there's this big thing about, we're all drinking NA now. And then you go across America and people are like, yeah, but the sky's falling and I'm drinking.
Totally get it.
And so it's always been it's always, drink, alcohol. You go down the street and in the main street of any town in the United States, there are bars. There's a reason there are bars, and there are not, say, I don't know, whatever else would, could be, they're not just dumpling houses or cookie houses. They're bars, yeah. And that's what forms the center of every American city. So there's a lot in the media about NA, and NA is great, and NA is good, and NA can help people, and there's nothing against NA. It's just that, this is the narrative that keeps getting repeated, and it's not what I'm finding on the ground.
I think it's interesting that you've got these two, you've melded these two things together. Cocktails, which I don't want to say drinking culture, I want to that community thing that we do together, which is drinking or eating, maybe in a bar, maybe not in a bar, maybe at home, hopefully at home, and music, which is such a connector of people in so many ways, no matter what kind of music it is. We all love listening to music. It's hard to find someone that doesn't like music,
right?
Just in general. You could argue whether they like cocktails or not, but everyone loves music. And then you put that with cocktails. Oh my gosh, it's just like this amazing coupling of these two things that make humans human, right? Yeah. This is what we are. We like gathering together to share drink or food, and we like this thing and going through our ears and what it does to our bodies, and it's just, and it's great that you can figure out a way to put them together into a book in 13 times, and or is it 14? And really get to the heart of why we like doing it.
Yeah, I mean, with these books, I want them to be inspo books, but even this one more than almost any other. So country music is people that listen to vinyl.
It's our DNA.
Yeah, people that listen to vinyl talk about the presence. They talk about how alive things sound, right? Jazz people love vinyl for this. It's really live. I love rock on vinyl for this reason. But there's also something about country. The production is so good. The community that make these albums, the musicianship is very high. There's something with the harmonies and the yodeling and the kind of the whine and the steel guitar that just sounds great on vinyl, and it's very alive. And then you add to that this element of making cocktails, which is very alive. And it's interesting because it all started because cocktails tell a story. Cocktails are interesting. Cocktails elevate, and you have a culinary experience instead of just getting drunk. And we talk about the vinyl, and the album art falls out when you open it up, and there's the hisses and pops, and it's a whole culture that kind of pops off, pops out of that album and into your ears, right? When you put it on the turntable. And I think you're right. There's just something really human about, again, both of these like analog experiences. One of the things I've been interested in with, why these vinyl books are really as popular as they are. And I think one of them too is that, Spotify is so easy. I have all these musicians that I love, but I don't even really remember their name because they're on all these playlists, So people are like, what are you listening to right now? And I'm like, I can send you my playlist, but I actually don't know necessarily the names of the artists anymore. And there's no connection there the way that there was with vinyl. And I think the books bring back this experience of like, yeah, you can jump around from hit to hit to hit of albums or artists you don't really even know their names anymore and just listen to a curated AI playlist, Great. I do that a lot too. But there's also something about listening to these albums as an artist, an individual artist meant them to be heard, side A and side B, slow it down. There's songs you're not going to like. It's okay. The journey is part of the thing. And as we know, when we drink a cocktail too, especially, some of the ones we've made tonight that are on, rocks that are slowing down and taking me on a sensory journey with the whiskey. This is also a journey. And I think these are things in our instantaneous culture. We are losing the ability to have a long conversation about music with people. We're losing the ability to listen to an album all the way through. We're losing the ability to have a cocktail where, I worked in the restaurant industry. I owned a bar. And we all know that the first sip is the most important sip that a customer has. And if they don't like that first sip, they're not going to buy another one, and they're not going to enjoy their drink, and they're going to give you a bad review, and they're going to walk out and all these things. But as anybody coming from wine knows, that if the wine that's really good in the first sip is not the wine you want at the 24th sip, right? Yeah. And it's the same with cocktails, and we're losing that ability to have conversations with what's in our glass or what we're actually listening to or with each other over this extended period of time. And I think you're right. The question is this is what makes us human. Society or culture, technology has kind of gone past what we're capable of in a way, or what we should be doing as humans. And it brings us back. And so why are we, going back to the typewriter? Why are we going back to albums? Why are we going back to flip phones? Why are we going back? And again, I think you're right that we're going back to these experiences that, we want to have experience. We want to have experience. We'll stop.
I loved, it all started, not bars necessarily, but, remember diners with jukeboxes, right? Jukeboxes were a thing, and you didn't touch the record, but you got to see the record moving, and then jukebox and moving the record into its place and playing. And then it moved on to CDs, and then it moved on to I think there's video versions of it now. But there, I don't know. Here in LA, we have a few bars, cocktail bars, where they're vinyl bars, right? Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of records. You can go pull a record out and go, well, you can't usually put it yourself, but you ask the bartender to put the record on for you while you're sitting at the bar. Yeah. And it's a very tactile experience. You're touching this thing, you're looking at this thing, and then you're drinking this thing all together. And you're probably talking to someone about the cocktail and the record itself and the music that's playing. It's all very social. It's all very healthy. and it's great. And we don't probably have enough of that anymore. I think it's kind of gone by the wayside now. Music is pumped in, and although I have to admit, I've been to a number of bars where the music being pumped in is off of one of the bartender's Spotify list, right? Yeah. He's curated it for you. It's not just some music that they're buying a service. Well, I do enjoy that.
I think you're right. Where we got to the point where all bars were the same. Everybody had 24 taps. Everyone had the same cocktails, and they had the stupid, jukebox on the wall where you got your tokens from the internet, and it played whatever. And I was just seeing today that somebody put out a map of bars in New York City that had jukeboxes.
Oh, wow.
And it was so cool. And there are like 20 of them. And people forget that, these bars have, that we had bars with identity. You went to a metal bar or, a bar where the bartenders played metal, or there was a jukebox that played metal. In my town, there was a bar that had like kind of an old Wurlitzer, and it was Frank Sinatra and, Dino and, Smokey Robinson and, Barbara Streisand, it like had this specific curator of like curated things of like what the owner liked to listen to over periods of their life. And, it was a fascinating place because people would come in for like their anniversaries and like go hit the jukebox, because they had these songs that they identified with their lives, and everything kind of got washed out when the internet came, and we can listen to anything, but I think people started to have realized that you don't want to be everything to all people. You need a vibe. You need something specific to hang your hat on. So I love these vinyl bars that they'll advertise what's happening that night. I have a friend who plays in a vinyl bar in the Midwest, and he does like basically like French, 60s, and then moves into French house, every Wednesday. It's like
very cool.
What he does, and it's fun. Or somebody, a lot of people will do soul, but they'll do soul from a specific time frame and era, and you can go and listen to it. And I think it is just kind of, we've reached the point where everything is on the internet. Now what?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You're not going to find any of it, and you don't have an emotional connection with any of it. So you've got to have people. You've got to have people share it with you.
Plus, I always liked at the end of the night, or at least end of my night, when I was leaving, I could put $10 in jukebox and play "Sweet Caroline" like 12 times as I was leaving, and people had to suffer through that later.
I've been to your bar. I was in that bar that night.
You are welcome.
Get out of my bar.
Hey, here's a question for you. So when you go to the jukebox, we all put in $5 in the jukebox. We want our 15 songs. Let's say there was a line of people in front of you. You're going to stay till your music comes on.
Yeah.
You're going to stay longer. You're going to eat more or drink more or whatever.
I'm not.
Well, yes, you just played "Sweet Caroline."
Annoying. He's like, "This is an annoying customer."
G7.
That's
you sunk my bar.
No, it's really true. And think of how many people. I met so many people at the jukebox line.
Oh, sure.
You'd go and you'd have your dollar ready or whatever, and you'd go talk to people, and you've already played Elvis. Okay, I won't do that. And then you chat and you meet people, and there's ways to meet people naturally.
It's like flipping through records in a record store, and you're standing next to somebody. It's like looking at a cocktail bar in a bar when it's nowadays bars can be kind of a little bit overwrought with all of the cocktails they have, but it's a book, and you're flipping through, and the person next to you is looking through, and they're, what is the amaretto? And you, amaretto. All of a sudden you have a conversation.
Exactly.
Yep. Angelo and I were in Chicago. 4 weeks ago? And we went to Delilah's. I had never been there, and Angie, you'd been there, right?
Yeah, it's good.
And I'd only heard about the place. And
it's loud, but it's good.
It was great.
Can I just stop for a second? For anyone listening in the general, Delaware Valley area, Delilah's in Chicago is not a gentleman's club.
No,
it is not a gentleman's club.
Continue.
Hardly. Yes.
No.
It is a rock dive whiskey bar.
Rock whiskey bar, right?
Yeah, I guess. Right. And I had not been there. I had no idea what I was walking into. Yes. The list is amazing.
Yeah.
You would not. It was stunning, the whiskey list.
It's mind-boggling.
Stunning. And you would not ever expect that in a place that was playing Black Flag. And At all. And there was another case in point where our bartender, Ange, if you remember, I asked about the list of music, and it was his list that he created.
Yeah.
So it felt very organic. It felt like it was somebody that took the time and effort to play the music he wanted to play, and in a place that is accepting to that. And oh, by the way, you could have a $50 or like a $20 glass pour of Springbank, or in Angie's case, like a $6 pour of Malort.
Malort.
Nice.
Malort.
Gotta have
know
Malort
what?
when you're in Chicago.
I thought it was pretty good.
It's not as bad as they make.
Yeah, the reputation's worse than it.
No, everybody. The guy next to me was like, "Oh, you're gonna drink that?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?"
They sell. What did that bartender tell us? He told us they sell like cases of it per week. It was a crazy amount.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's in Chicago. Malort is religion.
It is. Yeah.
I got to think that's like one of the things you're talking about, where standalone, maybe not so much, but you could work that into a cocktail. Now you're talking.
Yeah, sure.
And
yeah, for sure. People get a bunch of Malort backs.
Yeah.
You're like,
sure.
Would you like Sprite? Would you like this? Would you like this? Like,
it's funny.
All right. It's not.
Yeah, I think you said it, Andre, earlier when you're talking about the SoCo. In moderation, you can use a lot of these kinds of whatever these things are, liqueurs, cordials, whatever they're called, to just a bit to make a drink, to add to a drink, to change the flavor of a drink, right?
Yeah, Malort's not that far off of like Suze. I mean, you could make a white Negroni with it, the way they make, use Suze in that. Yeah, but people like to make fun of it. I mean, I think, from a generation that probably grew up on White Claw Black Cherry, Malort is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
it's a leap. It's a bit of a leap.
That when we were younger, it was like, Jaeger's a bit much. Now Malort's like,
yeah, I agree.
I've had worse.
I had Cynar, Averna, all this stuff in my house.
Yeah,
this is nothing.
The fact that a generation grows up on White Claw, Black Cherry.
Yeah, I know. That's another story.
That's a sad generation.
That's a different book and a different podcast.
Exactly.
Blame the boomers. Blame the boomers. They messed it up for those kids. Back
to the music, I want to talk a little bit more about. So, did you come away from this process? I know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyway. More appreciative of country music and its your love for it, if you assume you had a love for it, and its deeper meaning to our culture. Is that too big of a question? Is that too nerdy?
No, it's a big question.
Thank you.
It's a big genre. It's a great question, especially when I was reading some of the background material. I mean, if you read something like Bill Malone's book on country music, which is this huge tome, which reads really quickly anyway, because it's such a fascinating story of basically these record labels didn't think it would be viable. They went down to the hills of Tennessee, North Carolina, West Virginia, and found these families singing these tunes on their front porch, made the wax, and it spread, it's kind of when the radio started spreading, country music started spreading. And I did come away with I always had a deep appreciation for it, but the waters I think are deeper than people realize. And the stories that are caught up in this are really caught up in what it means to be America, not to get weird about it.
No.
But there's so much going on, whether it's class or race or just the story of poverty or the story of the Great Migration or the story of your family were moonshiners and now they're moving into a factory, or famous Loretta Lynn, your dad was a coal miner. Johnny Cash is a great example of a man who grew up as a Pentecostal, died as a hipster, and I mean, just these big swings and the depth of the problems and the depth of the faith in the songs is pretty astounding. I mean, it's such a crazy genre because it is kind of a genre of faith, right? Yep. But it's also a genre of addiction and loss. And so, country unpacks the big things. And I think that's why we love it. And my thing personally, it was really fun for me. We all grew up at a certain moment in country. Who is on the radio? And mine was sort of the 90s resurgence. I'm sort of like Travis, Randy Travis was bringing things back. Alan Jackson was being fun in ways that we hadn't seen in country for a long time. George Strait was bringing kind of like a neo-classicist thing back. And it was amazing to go back to those albums that I had grown up with and listening to them again. And I don't know, part of it is that maybe modern music is not as good as it should be always, and the musicianship isn't that great. But you listen to even something like Alan Jackson. I mean, the guy got famous for, Hoochie on the Chattahoochee, right? Basically. And the album is so good. The production's so good. The lyrics are so good. And they're so funny. It's smart. It knows exactly what it's doing and why, for what audience. It's such this rare beast, and just the musicianship is so great. So it was really fun going back to those in particular, where it's like, yeah, I liked Randy Travis, but now that I'm 30 years older, I love Randy Travis. Yeah. It's incredible musicianship. The songs are great, and I don't think that a lot of people had this. Maybe got the break. I mean, obviously they became famous for what they were doing, but I don't think we think of somebody as like Randy Travis as one of the absolute greats. But when you listen to that album, you're like, hard to argue that he's not one of the greatest country singers of all time. And the list goes on and on of who's great. So there was definitely that, and also just finding that there's these younger artists who are going just as deep. Chris Stapleton's a great example of an artist with incredible gravitas, right? And I think the market in country especially looks for gravitas. We're always looking for the next Guy Clark, the next Johnny Cash. These are the people that are supposed to sing song. John Prine. These are the people, Haggard. These are the people that are supposed to sing these songs. Christopherson. I can go on and on and on.
Yeah. People, Waylon Willie. Keep going.
Waylon, one of the great baritones of all time. Yeah. But then you have, somebody like Sturgill Simpson who comes along and has one of the next great baritones of all time and really can cover these albums with also great gravitas. Or somebody like Margot Price, who she herself, her family, I believe, were kicked off their farm. She wrote the album for her dad, who was this unemployed farmer. She herself went to jail. These are the stories we love from country people, because I feel like so many families in America are adjacent to this story, right? So many Americans have a cousin of a cousin who's been to jail and, dealt with these things. And then these people sing about it in a folk tradition, basically.
Yep.
And just like hip hop,
Totally.
And, so I think dealing with that was actually a lot, it's like, I didn't want to be flippant for the book at all. I'm making a cocktail book here, folks, but I really had to be careful of, these stories run deep for people, and they run deep for me too. It was, and it's fun to make light of and have fun with. Obviously, that's the point. But there's definitely some of these albums. The more you listen to them, wow, they'll take you downtown.
I was very appreciative of you covering so many places that I'd forgotten about, and one being Buck Owens and the Bakersfield Sound, and it made me think of Roy Clark and Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs and Beverly Hillbillies.
I was just talking to my kids about Roy Clark because
amazing guitar player.
My wife was a huge fan of Hee Haw.
Yep.
So she showed them.
It made America. It brought country to America.
Showed the kids an episode of Hee Haw, and they went, "Mom, you had a sad little childhood, and it's unfortunate for you." And I was telling them, Roy Clark was a great host of Hee Haw. Yeah. But he was one of the greatest guitar players of all time.
Totally.
And my kids were like, "You're out of your mind." I said, "Google him." Yeah. And he's like number 3 or 4 on the list of greatest guitar players of all time. But he wasn't up there on stage smashing one. He wasn't going and playing to your ears bled. He had great musicianship. He's just a tremendous
Flatt and Scruggs. They were like McCartney.
Flatt and Scruggs, same thing. Yeah, same thing. How many shows did you watch in the 70s where they wrote the theme song to?
That's right.
I know.
I mean, they were all part of our childhood.
Yep.
Yeah, and people forget about Hee Haw. It was fun, A lot of stuff on TV was not that much fun, and this was Hee Haw is like the visual interpretation of the Grand Ole Opry, right?
Yep, that's right.
It's vaudeville.
It's vaudeville.
And like, girls in cowboy hoods, hats and skirts, and we're all dancing. And it was very much a folk tradition. I love watching.
And the star of the week, the musical guest of the week. It could be, here's the new person who's going to come out. It was the Christy Minstrels. It's the Christy Minstrels by themselves.
It's country version of a variety show, and we lived on variety shows in the 60s and 70s, and we saw it exposed America to so many kinds of entertainment, right? Whether it was a guy doing spinning plates on Ed Sullivan or doing tap dancing on Carol Burnett or whatever, we got to be exposed to so many different things because of those shows. And Hee Haw was easily the way that was an entry point for so many people to get into country music.
Yeah,
by far, and the Beverly Hillbillies, but that's another story. But totally, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, Johnny Cash had a show, but
Cash had a show. Yeah,
3 or 4 years. It wasn't that long, but.
And every summer, when everyone went on hiatus, they'd bring some country act in to do
like Glenn Campbell.
One summer, Glenn Campbell do a summer, Chris Christopherson do a summer. So next? Who's next to do the summer?
That's right.
Yeah. I need 6-8 episodes, which now everyone's watching 6 or 8 episodes of whatever they're streaming, and it's the greatest thing in the world. Right. That was your summer. You just watched, June and July. That's all I need.
I saw, we were talking about Johnny Cash earlier. I saw on Instagram about a week or two ago, Roseanne Cash introduce a band who I did not know of or heard of. I didn't know them. And they were being given some award. The old 97s?
Yeah, for sure. Old 97s.
I did not know who they were. And they've been around for like 30 years or something. And she had the most amazing introduction to them. She compared them to so many different bands, and I had no idea who these guys were. It was an incredible. She's incredible. I don't know. She's incredible. She's taken on her dad's role as like this great, her mom's great spokesperson for for music and that culture. It was really invigorating. It was great. It was amazing. She's awesome.
Yeah. The old 97s are great. They've been around for quite a number of years. And again, kind of coming through that like a very Americana rock and roll thing. Yeah. There's so many bands now that are so good and they have their moment and don't necessarily get their day in the sun.
No, it's true. Well, this has been spectacular as usual. When we have Mr. Darlington on What We Watch When We Drink. He has a new book out. We highly recommend it. If you like country music or you don't like country music or you want to just get into country music again or just kind of just scratch the surface again, this is like a great entry point to that, as well as, maybe more importantly, cocktails. And there's some great cocktails in here. We didn't even really scratch the surface too much of all the great cocktails in there. I highlighted so many of them. There's so many great ones in there, and the artwork is great. You're going to see America in this book. Highly recommend it. It is Booze and Vinyl Country, one of a series that Andre's been doing about vinyl records paired with cocktails, and you get music and you get libations and you get a fun evening and you learn a little bit about cocktail making and you learn a little bit more than a little about music in a certain culture, and just another wonderful A+, great gift, great thing you put on your own shelf. So Andre, thank you for coming back in. Always love coming in. And
you guys are so much fun always.
And if you're a fan of tequila, mezcal, vodka, rum, bourbon, Tennessee whiskey, moonshine, it's
Southern Comfort.
It's all in there.
Yes,
it runs the gamut. It's not just focused on a spirit. There's something for everybody.
60 records, 120 cocktails. Don't forget that. That's easy math. Yeah, that's right. That's like a good ratio. It's like, making an old fashioned.
It
is. Andre, thank you so much. Good luck with the book. You can get it. I assume it's ever available bookstores, Amazon.
Available wherever books are sold in the whole country and around the world.
Thanks, Andre. Don't go anywhere. Ange, play us out.
You betcha.
Download this thing in a week.
Booze and Vinyl Country.
Boom.
Yeehaw.
Cheers.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Wait, yippee-ki-yay.
I can't do the yodel thing.
All right. Cheers, folks. Yodeling.
Oh, that's good.
Thanks.
What was that guy's name?
Who?
The yodeler who passed away.
Yodeling cowboy.
Yeah, what was that guy's name? Oh
Yodeling.
man.
Are you thinking of the guy who
mustache.
did like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Oh man, what was that guy? He was amazing. I'll look him up. We'll talk about
Rogers.
All right.
Yodeling. Hank Yodel.